A very good evening and a warm welcome to UBC News Tonight on this 16th day of October 2024. Now, before we delve into tonight's news bulletin, let's first take a look at the top stories tonight. In our top stories, VP Alupo commits government support to Ugandans accessing food. Former KCCA boss Dorothy Kisaka arrested following detectives' interrogations. Government and Total Energies hand over 100 land titles to oil pipeline project affected persons. And NWSC reports increased profit, highlighting significant growth from 131 billion to 142 billion. Good evening once again. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and my colleague Yusuf Senyomo on sign language interpretation. We do welcome you to tonight's news bulletin. We start off with our first headlining story this evening. Uganda has joined the rest of the world in commemorating the 44th World Food Day with a strong appeal to the public to stop engaging in practices that contribute to climate change. The Vice President, retired Major Jessica Lupo, presided over the celebrations, emphasizing the government's commitments to ensuring that all Ugandans have access to food. The event took place at the National Semi-Arid Research Institute in Igola, Serere district. We have more.
Uganda marked World Food Day with a celebration in Serere district where Vice President, retired Major Jessica Lupo, inspected stores from various exhibitors upon her arrival. In her address, Vice President Alupo reiterated that the NRM government, under the leadership of President Museveni, is dedicated to ensuring that all Ugandans have access to safe and nutritious foods.
We remain committed to climate-smart agriculture practices that ensure sustainable food production in the face of climate change. His Excellency the President has continuously called on all stakeholders, including farmers, researchers, policymakers, and private sector, to embrace climate-resilient methods to mitigate the effects of climate change on agriculture.
She commended the National Agricultural Research Organization, NARO, for its significant work in developing new crop varieties that are resilient to climate change and pledged the government's support to further their research efforts.
Allow me to commend the organizers, including Ministry of Agriculture, NARO, and the partners for choosing to host this day here at the National Semi-Arid Resources Research Institute, which is one of the oldest institutions in Uganda for research and development, now celebrating 102 years. I am also delighted that 2 new varieties of beans and groundnuts are being released and launched today.
The Minister for Agriculture, Frank Tumwebaze, issued a stern warning to those attempting to encroach on institutional research lands, urging local leaders to protect these critical assets.
Your Excellency, I request you, like I once said in Cabinet, and I appeal to all leaders, let us fight and protect land for agricultural research institutions. LC5, I beg that we protect the land of this nursery.
Today, we are proud to share with you that we have been able to develop a variety that they call a purupuru. And this variety, purupuru, has supported this country in the breweries industry, where we have been able to help penetrate the breweries industry, produce a product they call Igolaga. All those who take Igolaga and are surrounded with excitement, that excitement comes from this institute.
Dr. Charles Owach, representing the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, country director, pledged continued support in developing agribusiness practices to strengthen food security in Uganda.
Part of FAO, we remain committed to working with all stakeholders, government, private sector, academia, civil society, and also individuals to build a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive agri-food system.
Agnes Chirabo, the Executive Director of Uganda Food Rights, acknowledged Uganda's progress in food safety.
If there is a country, if there is a place in the world where no one could not go to bed hungry, it is.
The 44th World Food Day has been commemorated under the theme, The Right to Food for a Better Life and a Better Future. I'm Nafka Farida and Andrew Sebila.
The Prime Minister of Uganda, Lauryn Masika, has commended the role played by the Village Health Team, VHTs, in complementing government efforts of ensuring that Ugandans access essential health services. The Prime Minister wants the Ministry of Health to consider VHTs with minimum qualifications to be taken up into the implementation of Community Health Extension Workers Program. The Premier was this afternoon launching the 3rd Health Promotion and Disease Prevention Conference under the theme Building Resilient Health Systems for Disease Prevention through Strengthening Community Health Workers at Speak Resort Hotel in Munyonyo.
Hundreds of the village health team members across the country are the unsung heroes of community health care. They work tirelessly, often in challenging conditions, to ensure that even the most remote and vulnerable individuals have access to essential health care services.
Our success in these initiatives hinges on ensuring that our community health workers, and when I say that, I mean the CHUs and the VHTs, are adequately supported, highly valued, well remunerated and appreciated, and have the tools they need, the resources they need.
The VHTs are the backbone of preventive health education, guiding communities towards healthier lifestyles and practices. Their efforts in disease prevention, maternal and child care, and emergency health responses save countless lives, yet they ask for little in return.
Process of training and deploying over 20,000 community extension workers. We must have a very clear strategy on how we are going to set our targets right, define the roles they are going to play, equip them, motivate them to be able.
During the launch of the 3rd Health Promotion and Disease Prevention Conference under the theme Building Resilient Health Systems for Disease Prevention through Strengthening Community Health Workers, Prime Minister Lauryn Masika commended the role played by VHTs in complementing government efforts to ensuring that Ugandans access essential health services.
Strengthen their capacity through training, supervision, and digital tools. We must also address the challenges they face, including inadequate incentives and resources.
She called on the Ministry of Health to consider VHTs with minimum qualifications to be taken up into the implementation of Community Health Extension Workers Program.
Ministry of Health to expedite the implementation of Community Health Extension Workers Program and ensure it is nationwide within 3 years.
I'm Nafka Farida and Zahara Abigaba.
Now, police have arrested the former executive director of the Kampala Capital City Authority, KCCA, following the conclusion of investigations into charges of criminal negligence that led to the tragic loss of lives in the Chitezi landfill disaster. Those arrested included former KCCA executive director Dorothy Kisaka, her former deputy David Luyimbazi, and former Director for Public Health, Dr. Daniel Okello. Last week, police issued summons for the 3 who appeared today, October 16th, before CID detectives for questioning that lasted approximately 8 hours regarding the ongoing prosecution-led investigations. Dorothy Kisaka has been detained at Chira Police Station, while David Luyimbazi and Dr. Daniel Okello are being held at Natete Police Station. They are all set to appear before a court of law to answer charges of criminal negligence and other related offences. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja, has requested the International Organization of Migration, IOM, of the United Nations to support Uganda so that government can build permanent structures to accommodate the growing numbers of refugees in Uganda. The Premier was today meeting the Regional Director for IOM in charge of the Eastern and Southern Africa, Frank Celestine, who paid a courtesy call at her office in Kampala. We have the details.
Currently, Uganda hosts about 1.6 million refugees. Majority of them are from South Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo. Uganda has an open door policy where refugees reside in refugee settlements rather than camps. They are allocated land in the settlements to grow their own food on top of the food ratios provided by humanitarian agencies like UNHCR, World Food Programme, among others. However, refugees cannot construct permanent structures in the refugee settlements and are only allowed to put up temporary structures. Because of the increasing numbers of refugees in Uganda, amidst poor housing conditions they live in, Prime Minister Robina Nabanja wants this situation changed so that the government of Uganda can construct accommodation for refugees.
So we are looking for partners who can support us put up permanent structures. Uganda now hosts 1.6 million refugees. And to me, this number continues to expand year in, year out, because our neighbors are not yet settled, that you can claim maybe the refugees will be no more in the country. So the earlier we constructed permanent houses and structures, the better.
The Prime Minister was then meeting the Regional Director for IOM in charge of the Eastern and Southern Africa, Francis Celestine, who paid a courtesy call at her office in Kampala.
Uganda last week in Addis Ababa assumed the chairmanship of the Regional Forum on Migration, Regional Ministerial Forum on Migration. And we're quite excited, giving Uganda's leadership in East Africa on many things. Especially creating the first policy framework on migration and climate change with the Kampala Ministerial Declaration. We are quite proud to have been a partner to this.
Earlier in January, during her state visit to Italy, the Prime Minister held talks with the global IOM director who expressed interest in Uganda's refugee status.
In a meeting I had with her, she appreciated our open door policy towards refugees, and she highlighted a number of things of significance. Ms. Ame Pope inquired about the financial implications of maintaining such an open door policy, reflecting a keen interest in understanding our local context.
Uganda has been very generous in accommodating many refugees from that country. Countries such as Somalia, again, Uganda has been generous in providing such support in South Sudan, all the way down to South Africa, Angola, and Zimbabwe.
The IOM Chief of Mission in Uganda, Sanusi Tesani Savaje, informed the Prime Minister that Uganda will be hosting an African conference on migrations.
My regional director, whom you met some time back before France, will be coming back here in November for an East African meeting here, which I push for Uganda to host that meeting. The Chief of Staff will be here on the 21st for the East African meeting on the 22nd. And after that, it goes back on the 23rd at night. I will also request for a meeting for you because she's the number 3 in the organization.
The Regional Director for Eastern and Southern Africa is in Uganda to witness Uganda's milestone to establish a country's policy on migration tomorrow.
Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, has tasked movers of the AntiCounterfeit Bill 2023 to expedite the process and avail the bill for the second reading. Anita Among emphasizes how counterfeits continue to pose dangers to the society, hence the urgency of the bill to be tabled. The Speaker was officiating at the anti-counterfeit exhibition at Parliament.
This exhibition, staged at the premises of Parliament, is a broader campaign to raise awareness about the dangers of counterfeit products and rally support for the Anti-Counterfeit Bill 2023. The Anti-Counterfeit Bill 2023 seeks to establish measures against products, sale and distribution of counterfeit goods while protecting property rights.
And it is consumed by very many people. And unfortunately, we seem to have the weak law, the Trademarks Act.
Following extensive consultations that kicked off early March this year in support of the bill that Bujiri Municipality legislator Asman Basalira introduced to Parliament, a report was submitted to the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among.
The Office of DPP, ISLP, they have all given their views here. We hope this will enrich the law and help to make an enduring and well-meaning legislation.
When I got in touch with the Anti-Counterfeit Network and others, and the existing laws, because right on Speaker, like it or not, the existing legal framework is insufficient to address counterfeit in this country. As a matter of fact, we don't have any single law in Uganda that addresses counterfeit.
The Speaker tasked the MPs to speed up on the activities and ensure the bill is presented for a second reading.
As a country, we need to walk to the talk by ensuring that we have enabling laws that will make counterfeit out of the country. We also need to strengthen the existing laws that are available to ensure that the investigating bodies will be able to handle the persons that are handling counterfeits.
The Anti-Counterfeit Network is taking a stand to fight counterfeit and to support the law.
They are tired of the fakes. They want protection. They want this law to be passed tomorrow.
The exhibition was on the theme, "We are all victims of counterfeit." Lydia Chomkama and Dan Lugemwa, Parliament.
The Leader of Opposition has tasked the Parliamentary Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs not to compromise the submissions of the stakeholders on the ongoing consultations in regard to the Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024. Now, Senyonyi bases on the concerns calling for the bill to be rejected in its entirety as raised by all the participants who have interacted with this committee since Monday last week. Now, on Tuesday, the ruling party, led by the Secretary General, Richard Todwong, joined the rest of the opposition members to disregard the bill as moved by Mityana South legislator Richard Lumu.
The momentum in the administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024 is seemingly losing its edge after several stakeholders negatively supported the objectives in the proposed new legislation. The Parliamentary Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs was mandated to process the bill before it surfaces for its second reading.
People had alluded to the fact that it would be an issue for a committee to even sit and consider, but to realize that it is within our power, that when such a bill is presented and referred to a committee, we have no mandate other than considering it.
Unless you subject this to a constitutional amendment, you cannot amend an act to operationalize a constitutional provision which is silent.
But borrowing a legal terminology of a prima facie evidence, the bill seeking to, among others, change how the leader of opposition is chosen in parliament has faced the largest criticism. By Wednesday this week, all stakeholders invited by the MPs on the legal committee distanced themselves from supporting the Lumo bill, asserting that the status quo as framed in the Principal Act be maintained.
So it is in our best interest that we receive these ideas when they come. So we should not curtail proposals that come for the good guidance of clean laws, because it is the singular duty of this committee to give the country very good laws by guiding Parliament.
The leader of opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, whom a section of the public deemed to be the main target of the proposed bill, has added his voice.
If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it most probably is a duck.
The mover of the bill, also Michana South MP Richard Lumo, asserted that the proposed bill will strengthen the unity among opposition political parties. Lop Senyonyi asked the committee whether the suggested strength is not good for the ruling party, since the leader of government business and the government chief whip are elected otherwise.
It's just a question that I'm throwing back. So, yeah, the modus operandi would be good to cut across.
Joel Senyonyi tasked the committee to respect the submissions of the previous stakeholders, including the NRM, NOP, LODC, FDC, UPC and ANT, who have all neglected to support the Lumo bill.
Once the LOP is designated by the party with the greatest numerical strength in Parliament, in the opposition side, there is no requirement for even approval by the House. It's just announced, and that is all. It looks to me to be a blank check. And yet the LOP is a national leader.
The Administration of Parliament Amendment Bill 2024 wants to have the leader of opposition and the opposition chief whip to be elected by the members of the opposition in Parliament. The bill was introduced to Parliament during the regional sitting of Parliament in the Northern Region. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
Now the government has witnessed the handover of 100 land titles, resettlement houses and skill starter kits to the final cohort of project affected persons from Total Energy's Tilenga project in Bulisa district. Despite the focus on empowering the direct beneficiaries, local leaders are advocating for a broader approach that benefits all youth in the district. Mark Wadulo reports.
Hundreds came to witness the handover ceremony of 100 land titles and resettlement houses to Total Energy's Tilenga project-affected persons at Chibambura Playgrounds, Bulisa district. This marks the finalization of land acquisition and resettlement housing initiatives by the oil company that boasts to have fully compensated 99.5% of project-affected persons in compliance with national laws and international standards.
The commitment was to improve and restore livelihoods and enhance the living standards of physically displaced people by providing resettlement housing with security of tenure.
Local leaders are, however, convinced that more should be done by Total Energy's EP to empower the whole community, as opposed to few directly affected persons.
But the issue of inclusiveness and not leaving everyone behind, my colleagues have said that if we had our own skilling institute here in Bulisa, it would be able to bring each and everyone on board.
We have secondary schools here from O to A level, yes. A deliberate intervention to make sure that the standards of these schools, at least a selected few, is done, that could benefit us even more.
In her remarks as chief guest, Fiona Nyamutoro, the state minister in charge of minerals, upheld the company's efforts to fairly compensate and skill affected persons and called for continued transparency to foster better diplomatic prospects in energy production.
We shall continue to provide basic support where necessary to the resettled families to ensure their successful integration into the new environments. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Bulisa and the neighboring communities for their cooperation and resilience throughout this process. We also thank the Ministry of Lands for their technical support, TEPU for their commitment to making sure the resettlement is a success, and to the Petroleum Authority of Uganda for their diligent oversight.
To date, 5,553 project-affected persons in Bulisa, Hoima and Chikube districts have been fully compensated under the Resettlement Action Plans 2 to 5, including 235 physically resettled project-affected persons. Wadulo Makanol for UBC News at Chibambura Playgrounds, Bulisa District.
Now, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we return with more stories after these messages.
Stop breathing. To be a winner, you must breathe only when necessary. Breathing is for losers. What is that? Did I give you permission to sweat? You can sweat in your free time. Push the arms straight.
Winning is hard, but with MTN Momo, it's easy. Simply pay or shop with Momo for a chance to win mobile money every day. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3#.
To help businesses recover from the impact of COVID-19, government introduced a tax amnesty through a waiver of interest and penalty on outstanding principal tax as at June 30th, 2023. Accordingly, URA has since July 2024 been implementing this waiver. To benefit, simply pay your outstanding principal tax by December 31st, 2024, and the waiver is applied automatically upon payment confirmation. This amnesty applies to domestic taxes, namely income tax, rental tax, payee, and others. Grab this golden opportunity today. For more, use the platforms displayed.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
It's true what people say, that when I wash and you wash your hands with soap, we'll have less infections as Ugandans. After all, it's hands that handle money. It's hands that feed us. Hands that prepare soil for farming. Hands that we use to learn. And hands that we use for fun.
When I wash and you wash, it means clean hands for all. So, wash your hands with soap and clean water regularly to keep away infections and disease-causing germs. This message is from the National Hand Washing Secretariat with support from UNICEF.
Welcome back from that break. Now, in more news this evening, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has revealed a positive outlook for inflation and anticipates a reduction in interest rates on government securities. Permanent Secretary Ramadan Gobi highlighted the increased involvement of Ugandans in entrepreneurship during a press conference at the ministry.
The financial sector of Uganda is very sound, stable and growing.
The Ministry of Finance reports that the tenfold economic growth strategy is driving substantial progress in Uganda's economic development. According to Permanent Secretary Ramadan Gobi, interest rates on government securities are expected to decrease, creating a more favorable environment for investment.
I want this to be clear to the market. We are not going to borrow money at any cost. We have the option of reducing our appetite if the interest rates or the cost is high.
Additionally, the Ugandan shilling has appreciated and maintained stability against major currencies, indicating a strong performance in the foreign exchange market.
Uganda's shilling appreciated by 0.33% against the US dollar to an average mid-rate of 3,711 shillings per US dollar compared to an average mid-rate of 3,723 shillings per US dollar in August this year.
Kobe also clarified that delays in the implementation of some government programs are not attributed to the Ministry of Finance.
Having an issue of procurement games, who procures, is a big thing in government, which means there is something there. Why are people holding on procurements of even things which are not theirs? Then in other ways, why are others also saying we shall not monitor something we have not procured? There is something they are looking for.
As the government continues to focus on improving service delivery, Ugandans are encouraged to engage in income-generating activities to boost their economic resilience.
Don't confuse service delivery with wealth creation. Ugandans will only create wealth when each and every Ugandan is participating in an income-generating activity, either by working as a job where they are paid or by investing.
The Executive Director of the National Water and Sewage Corporation, Engineer Dr. Silva Mugisha, has announced an increase in profit from 131 billion shillings to 142 billion shillings, reflecting substantial growth in surplus. He highlighted that this surplus includes uncollected areas, emphasizing the importance of effective cash collection to maintain liquidity. Dr. Mugisha made these remarks during the Arise Area Annual Performance Evaluation, where the corporation showcased its outstanding performance.
National Water and Sewage Corporation is embarking on an ambitious expansion plan aiming to grow its customer base from 950,000 to 1.25 million within the next 3 years. The corporation intends to expand its services to reach 25 million people by the end of the next 5 years, up from the current 19 million.
We want to reduce non-revenue water from 34% now to 30% in the next 5 years. Remember, our corporate plan is 3 years according to the law, but when we are preparing it, we do a 5-year projection.
Achieving this goal will enhance operational efficiency and improve the reliability of overall water supply.
We want to increase our annual turnover from 643 billion, which we have, to 745 billion annually.
The corporation also aims to expand its assets under management from 4.5 trillion to 6.2 trillion shillings over the same period.
The non-government collection efficiency, we had started well from July and August, but we got a backdrop in September, and on average, we had 99.7, slightly below 100. So our areas grew in that period. That's why you see we moved from the total areas of from as at the end of financial 2022-2023, we ended with a total of 65.7 total, but non-government 56.5.
National Water and Sewage Corporation is working to improve its staff engagement index from 78% to a minimum of 80%, ensuring that its workforce remains motivated and aligned with its mission.
Those who have been cleared as the top performers, the worst performers this time around may turn out, from what I've been hearing, to be the best one next time around. The challenge is yours, and you have spoken here that I'll be better next time. Being better means, to me, being the top on the scale. So we look forward to coming back here and hearing that you have really turned the scale over.
One pressing challenge identified during the performance evaluation was the need for enhanced infrastructure.
That let's facilitate these areas to finish the projects they are doing in a cost-effective way. Recently, Edmund came and presented to us how much money he needs to complete those projects. But we did not believe in those computations. We know you can do it in a much more practical way. Mr. Chairman, when we buy these things directly from these factories, we potentially reduce the price by 40%.
Total bidding has risen from 31 billion shillings at the end of the previous financial year to 32.5 billion in the first quarter of the current financial year. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
The State Minister for Youth and Children Affairs, Balam Barugahara, has emphasized the need to change the name and perception of the Naguru Remand Home if the government aims to continue effectively rehabilitating children. He pointed out that the current level of inmates creates a negative image, deterring many from seeking the center's support. Balam, who visited the children at the facility this Wednesday, had numerous reports of prolonged detention from the residents.
Established in 1954, the Naguru Remand Home was designed to hold juveniles separately from adult prisons. Initially built to accommodate 120 children, the facility is now housing 220 children, surpassing its intended capacity.
His purpose of coming to visit us was to check on the well-being of the welfare of the children, which he appreciated so much. Ministry of Gender has put in their strength to make sure children have the diet.
As you have noticed, the children are happy. They are living in a happy life. Their mother, the owner of the director of the institute, is looking after them, and the ministry pledged to support this home to the extent.
During his visit, Minister Balam Barugahara assessed the conditions of the home and suggested that changing the center's name could transform the public perception.
You call it Naguru Remand Home, but to me, I want to call it Naguru Correction Center, and I will propose this to Cabinet. We should call it a correction center, but most of the children are young. You can't remand someone who's very young, but you can correct, you can keep those children under home.
This proposal has garnered support from the remand home's administrators.
This visit, what it has come to solve is the change of the name from Naguru Remand Home to Correction Center.
One of the main challenges facing the center is overcrowding, largely due to delays in the judicial process, which prolongs the detention of these young individuals.
However, they raised a few challenges, like they need court, they don't have a judge or a magistrate at this place. I'll write to the Chief Justice requesting for a chief magistrate or a magistrate who can come and hear their cases so that we decongest this remand home. Then they also raised the other issue of lack of transport.
Despite these challenges, the Naguru Remand Home has made notable progress in rehabilitating the children under its care. There is now a call for government to further support these rehabilitation efforts to ensure the continuation of this important work.
They have hands-on skills to make sure they transform from their grouping in their peer pressures where they group and do wrongdoers, like these ones who did the flying kick. So in that, we've requested the Honorable Minister to at least look into giving them the startup kit.
Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Thank you, Robert Onyango. Now, in more stories this evening, a delegation from Cameroon's Ministry of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure is in Uganda to study the country's computerized land registry system. The delegation, led by Innocent Ndilasi, the Secretary General of Cameroon's Ministry of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure, expressed appreciation for Uganda's efforts in modernizing land records, which has effectively reduced the presence of fraudulent claimants.
With a population of about 30 million people and a land area of 475,442 square kilometers, currently has only 125,000 urban land titles, approximately 10% of its urban land, registered since the inception of land registration by the German Protectorate in 1896. The 5-member Cameroonian delegation visit is aimed at learning from Uganda's experience with the digitized land records. Richard Juko, the Undersecretary of Uganda's Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, highlighted that the digitization of land records in Uganda has significantly reduced fraud and has yielded substantial returns for the government.
You look at the status of the records then and what has been done now, and then you will be able to appreciate what we are doing.
For us as a ministry, we had strong political support. We had top management support.
Beckham Gaino, the Commissioner of Land Registration in Uganda's Ministry of Lands, noted that before digitization, Uganda's litigation unit was burdened with numerous court cases related to land disputes, a challenge that has since been greatly reduced.
Now the system has helped us organize very better that are winning most court cases.
Okay. Innocent Ndilasi, the Secretary General, Minister of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure, expressed optimism that Cameroon would achieve significant improvements in its land registry if it successfully modernizes its records, anticipating better returns on investment through modernization process.
Our two countries can be together to conduce the important activity in the land sector, because we know that in this sector we have enough problem.
Cameroon initiated the modernization of its land records in 2019 through a consortium of IGN, FI, Geodesign and BIZ, with the initial phase attracting an investment of 1.4 million euros.
And it's the moment for me to invite them to capitalize this moment to learn about the change management and use it by the land management tools.
To date, Uganda has hosted about 9 delegations from various African countries, including those from East, Central and Southern Africa, all seeking to learn from its success in digitizing land records. I'm Ivan Juko for UBC.
Now, Uganda has joined the global community in celebrating World Food Day, emphasizing the role of proper nutrition in reducing the need for frequent hospital visits. The celebration, spearheaded by Unilever Uganda, took place at Shira Health Center 4. We have more details.
This year's World Food Day was celebrated under the theme Right to Food for a Better Life and a Better Future.
Looking at the theme, right to foods for a better life and then a better future. Looking at the diversity of foods, accessibility, affordability, safety, and also security, to ensure that at least each and every household can be able to afford these foodstuffs in the right variety, and also to consume it in the right quantity. This is what we are looking at today, creating awareness and ensure that people can be able to really acquire these foods.
It mainly highlighted the global advocacy for access to nutritious and affordable food as a basic human right, with communities advised to reflect on the universal right to access nutritious food.
It's a very special day today. It's a World Food Day, and the importance of it is to emphasize really the fact that food is very important for our good health and good living.
At the celebrations, during which Unilever Uganda, through its Reco brand, led the way, the public engaged in activities designed to promote nutrition education and healthy living. There were free anemia screenings, nutrition assessments, and dietary advice, with the public gaining valuable insights into the importance of iron-rich and fortified foods.
Our key for us is Uganda is a rich food country. We have a variety of food, and it's easily available. However, many Ugandans do not know how to eat the food and when to eat it. Many think that the food that is important is actually a poor man's food, and the food that is good is now the rich man's food, which is meat, chicken, and all the other proteins. We are advocating for the people to start eating the good food, which is now the vegetables and the legumes, which are key in boosting our micronutrients.
The event also emphasized how these foods can help combat micronutrient deficiencies, particularly iron deficiency, which is disproportionately affects women, children, and adolescents in Uganda.
Like we have seen, or research has shown from the Uganda Blood Bank, that 1 in every 4 women is anemic. So key for us is, and this is because of the messes that they go through every month. Then also children have been found culprits of anemia, and also young adolescents. So as Unilever, it's our responsibility to do everything and provide a brighter future for all Ugandans. So under our nutrition brand Royco, we are now moving on a journey of educating, but also fortifying our key brand, which is Royco Cubes, with iron and iodine. The iron and iodine helps us to boost our blood levels, which is a key ingredient to having blood and fighting anemia.
One of the day's key highlights was a cooking demonstration featuring Royco tubes, which are fortified with iron to improve health and well-being while addressing critical nutritional gaps.
UBC News tonight. Now, panic and tension has engulfed refugee leaders in Nachi Valley refugee settlement in Isingiro following the closure of the emergency food assistance program that was aiming at providing food to new refugee arrivals. Nachi Valley refugee camp receives over 500 refugees from DR Congo per week, but leaders are now worried on what to do for them.
Care International, together with their partners, Andre Foods International and Tumaini for Refugee Women, have closed their emergency food assistance for new arrival refugees in Nachi Valley refugee settlement in Isingiro district, citing reduction in donor funding.
Whatever support that we have given so far, we based on existing lists given by UNHCR, OPM, but also WFP. So I want to think that UNHCR, WFP and OPM will continue supporting minimally with the existing resources as we mobilize more resources to support, to complement their work.
The emergency food assistance in Nachi Valley was funded by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and had provided food relief to over 320 refugees' households, comprising of about 18,000 individuals. Besides providing food assistance to new refugee arrivals, the program also targeted pregnant and lactating mothers, child-headed families, PWDs, persons living with chronic illnesses, the elderly, among others.
We targeted 942 households, and we achieved that. And with that 942 households, we targeted 5,422 individuals, and so far we have invested 835 million 922,000 shillings, Uganda shillings, in food vouchers.
The closure of this humanitarian support project comes at a time when the World Food Programme also cut their rations, which added salt to an injury. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee and the Office of the Prime Minister have now been left with a huge task in providing livelihood support to these refugees.
So this is a big gap, a burden to Office of the Prime Minister, even UNHCR, and even the district. But what we are going to do, because we have a commitment as a district, that when such a project closes, then we take them on. But definitely we are going to take them on with challenges. But I want to try to see how we can have these beneficiaries now aligned to other existing partners.
At least 70% of non-communicable diseases could be prevented if people embraced regular hand washing. During today's Global Hand Washing Day celebrations at Nambole Stadium, the Minister for Water and Environment, Sam Chepturis, expressed concern over why such a simple yet crucial practice is still neglected by a large portion of the population.
Is drinking. How clear are the hands that touch this and that?
Hand washing is recognized as the first line of defense against many diseases. If 70% of the population adopted consistent hand washing habits, a significant burden would be lifted from the health care system.
Every year, millions of children still die from preventable diseases like pneumonia and diarrhea, with poor hand hygiene contributing to these tragic losses. The simple act of washing hands with soap at key moments, that is before meals, after using the toilet, and after even sneezing or coughing, remains an inexpensive, accessible, and life-saving practice.
A 2022 survey showed that only 46% of health facilities had hand-washing stations at latrines and patient care areas, highlighting the need to prioritize this life-saving practice. During the COVID-19 pandemic, hand-washing among Ugandans surged to 98%, but the practice has significantly declined post-pandemic. The research from the Ministry of Water shows that while 95% of households have soap, only a few use it consistently after using the toilet or before eating.
In some instances, you find that there is a hand washing facility, it's a functional one, water and soap, but the learners, the community around, will not pass by to wash their hands even after visiting a latrine or before going.
Look at people who are in sports areas where there's a lot of football, a lot of volleyball, a lot of basketball. There are not enough facilities for wash. You go to churches, the numbers are big. Are we sure of the facilities being adequate?
This year's Global Hand Washing Day celebrations were celebrated under the theme, Why Are Clean Hands Still Important? The event was held at Nambole Stadium. Christmas, Arinitwe, UBC News.
Thank you, Crispus Arinitwe. Now, the defense legal team in the murder case of businessman Henry Katanga has accused prosecution witness Naume Nyangwesho of using coercion and sending agents to pressure George Amanyi, currently in Chigo prison, into implicating Molly Katanga in the murder of her husband, Henry Katanga. The case is being heard at the High Court's Criminal Division in Kampala.
Still in the dock for cross-examination was Naume Nyangwesho, the sister to the deceased Henry Katanga. Nyangwesho was asked to tell court whether he visited the accused George Amanyire while in Chigo prison on 6 February 2024, following his arrest over the case in question, which she denied.
Amanyire says during that 2-hour, 2.5 meeting, you told him that you had the capacity to free him from Chigo prison. Is that correct? Yes, Mama.
Defense also accused Naume Nyangwesho while she ordered lawyer Mwesigwa Lukutana, Kazagi Rasto, Eyeru Justin, AIP Willibatuli Ikirwa, ASP Esther Kandenzi, Nelson Yatumanya to visit George Amanyire while in Chigo prison between 6th January 2024 and 30th January 2024.
You then told him that you are working towards that goal, and that's why you have come with a CID officer, AIP Wilba to Rechiwe, and then you introduced Wilba to him. You don't told Amanyire that you can help him, but it depends on his cooperation.
Naume was also pinned for forcing George Amanyire, the accused, to accept that Molly Katanga, the accused in this matter, murdered her husband Henry Katanga, and that in doing so he will be free from this case.
He should stop telling you the story. He told you what happened, but for Rechiwe, not for my own.
She was also accused for mobilizing public to pin the accused Molly Katanga, murdered her husband Henry Katanga. However, after defense cross-examining the witness Naume Nyangwesho on applying to tendering the exhibits they cross-examined the witness, prosecution objected to the prayer.
Only exception, my lord, that court may take is only in respect to annexures where the witness's name appears.
The evidence be blocked, and for it to be blocked,
there must be a very good reason.
Court resumed tomorrow, 17th October 2024, when the prosecution re-examined the witness Naomi Nyangwesho, and for court to give a ruling over the raised application by the prosecution. Deborah Namamonde, Viola Nansuboga, UBC News.
Winning requires the stamina of a lion. But most importantly, it requires that you carry that water up the top of the hill. However, you must use a spoon. Take the water now. Go, run, climb up the hill. 72 spoons. Faster, go, go. Winning is hard, but with MTN Momo, it's easy. Simply pay or shop with Momo for a chance to win mobile money every day. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3#.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy, Wanawoli.
Welcome back from that break, and now into business. A section of traders in Kampala's bustling markets is lamenting the tough state of business, citing high commodity prices as a major challenge. Many traders are calling for a reduction in the taxes levied on them to help keep their businesses afloat.
A report from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics on consumer price indices shows that the annual inflation rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index stood at 3.5% for the year ending in August 2024, down from 4.0% in July 2024. Despite this slight decrease, market traders continue to struggle with high commodity prices and challenging working conditions.
The conditions we are working in are terrible. Whenever it rains, our customers lack where to park their cars due to the flooding of the place. So they tend to fear parking around here.
Customer
baje bagala tugulako tebalina parkinga motoka babatambula butambuzi nibaita obwi.
The customers tend to just pass by us here. Just as you can see, these bags of onions haven't moved an inch.
According to the traders, the rising prices of several market produce have discouraged many buyers, further affecting their sales and profit margins. For example, cooking oil has risen from 82,500 up to 84,000, while a box of soap from 50,000 to 51,000.
Prices are moderate. Apart from the dry beans are a little bit high. The price is 5,000 per kg, which is a little bit high.
How much was it?
It was 4 or 5 before, then got hyped like 2 months back.
These high commodity prices really affect us, especially since we get these goods from far.
Like for the case of Posho has gone up. It's now 2,200. Then we also have beans, which has also gone up. It's now 5,000 a kilo. Yellow number, the same price, 5,000.
Traders have urged the government to create a more favorable tax environment, allowing market vendors to better manage their operations and remain competitive.
Our main challenge is the inconsistency in prices. Our customers get used to a certain price, so if it goes high, they do not trust us.
It's true, prices are high, but what can we do? We cannot stay home and look on. My call to government is to ease everything for us, the market women.
It is worth noting that the increase in commodity prices is not across the board, but mainly affects the farm produce, which has seen the most significant hikes. Mario Nawori for UBC.
Thank you, Mario Nawori. Now let's take a look at how the Uganda shilling is faring against the foreign currencies today.
Brought to you by download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. Wendy Wanawori.
At Uganda Development Bank, we are committed to empowering communities by supporting projects that unlock excellent economic benefits for Ugandans through job creation, tax contribution, output value, and foreign exchange. We seek partnerships with projects that drive economic development in Uganda.
Wana tudiringa mu mwanyi kulima mwanyi famu ya feno eri ku bugazi bwa hika 125 mwanyi zafe za myaka ebiri kati wetwatana kusimba adi wetwatandikira twatandika ne hika 10 wetwatandika hika 10 zakolanga pilot project hakata aho esente zali ntono nga gwokimanyi wano mu Uganda kati nasalawo okutukira UDB kati bwatukira UDB newe tebaba babi sente bakola ki bazi tuweereza kati ne tutandika guno mulimo mukola ki gwe mulaba kati mukutane guno mulimo mulaba tuguze mu bingi kwangu laba tuli ku drip system then kanu katwakata Israeli eleze sente zimu okuva Israeli then nokutuyamba mu bakozi okusema the reservoir nezi no control rooms nzagola bagwe generator wateba jona yaba jona mu UDP wano ngaba libona abalone mu Uganda waliwo abesobola balima batesobola batokire UDB banga fe etuyambye netwa buli kimu okutwaliza wamu mu UDB tufunyemu.
Welcome back from that break and now into sports. So the She Cranes, Uganda's national netball team, has entered day 3 of training ahead of the Fast 5 netball series due in New Zealand next month. We have more.
The She Cranes camp at the MTN Arena Lugogo has on its 3rd day of training ahead of the 2024 Fast 5 netball series in New Zealand been boosted by the arrival of UK-based Hanisha Mohammed.
The camp is interesting. We are boosted by the arrival of Anisha Muhammad. She has trained with us. We had a session today, a full session, and the girls are becoming in shape. So it is looking so beautiful. So we think if we continue like this, we're yet to go.
Anisha, who plays her trade with Surrey Storm Netball Club in the United Kingdom Super League, is grateful to be among a team full of promise.
Yeah, it feels great. I'm still struggling mentally after the loss of my dad. But yeah, I love netball. This is my safe space, and anything to get on this court, I'll do it. So yeah, I'm excited. My first session today, and the girls really are in good shape. So I'm excited to see what we can do in the next 2-3 weeks.
The team in camp is of 12 players, including Margaret Bagala, Christine Nakito, Shadia Nasanga, Sandra Nambirige, Joyce Nakibule, and Christine Namulumba. Mary Nuba and Farida Kandondi will join the team in New Zealand from their respective UK bases.
As we have started our training, it's really very beautiful and wonderful session which we are having, and as you have seen, the players we're having on board, they are very energetic, and the young ones, I know we're going to make it like the way we did it in 2022. Since last year we didn't go for it, but this time around we need to surprise the whole world.
The First 5 Netball World Series is an annual international competition started in 2009 and currently contested by the top 6 nations in the world. Uganda pioneered at this series in 2022 where it finished 5th, but missed last year and now returns against Australia, New Zealand, England, South Africa, and Jamaica.
I give Ugandans hope that the girls are going to perform very well. These girls have been sitting because we have been having governance issues. But then I've been impressed today to see that they have gone back to form. What does that mean? We have high hopes from these girls, and we know they'll make it in New Zealand.
By the way, it's by surprise, these girls, you'll be told that they have been in camp for long, but the bodies are now in shape. They are good to go. So the girls are in good shape. That's what I can tell.
Others on Uganda's team in non-residential camp for the 2-day series that start on November 9th are training partners Gloria Aya, Mase Batamuliza, Josephine Bakita, and Linda Muzigo.
Like they always say, all good things do come to an end. UBC News Tonight has come to an end. Thank you so much for your company. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, and my colleague Yusuf Senyomo on Sign Language Interpretation. On behalf of the team working tirelessly behind the scenes, we wish you a good night.
Made in Mbale, the ultimate trade show and expo 2024. Join us for an exciting showcase of Made in Uganda industrial products, proudly presented by Honorable Minister Evelyn Anite and Chairman Tiang Tang Group Paul Sang. The trade show will be held at Mbale Industrial Park on 18th and 19th October 2024. Come and experience the best of Ugandan industry, all products from Mbale Industrial Park. Entrance is absolutely free. The chief guest, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, with other guest speakers including the Vice President, Her Excellency Jessica Lupo, the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Robin Nabanja, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija. The Mbale Industrial Trade Show and Expo by Uganda, Build Uganda, powered by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
In preparation for the by-election.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.